Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome to Post Cologne. Today we're taking a look at a new Lattafa, and it's Lattafa's Asad Bourbon. All right, so Asad Bourbon is from the House of Lattafa. It's an eau de parfum concentration, and you can pick this sucker up for about $40 at various discounters. Link's gonna be down in the description if you decide you wanna check this one out. Also some coupon codes, save yourself a few bucks at a variety of different discounters if you decide you want to shop with them. So we have ourselves a new flanker to the infamous Lattafa Asad, and box presentation on this, a pretty straightforward cardboard box. If you're familiar with the original Asad, you'll recognize this one. Has that lion emblem on the front and kind of a shimmery pattern going on right there. Also kind of on the corner side right there, hologram there. Necessaries on the back, but typical cardboard box, nothing too special right there. And the bottle presentation, if you're familiar with the last two Asads, the Asad the original as well as the Zanzibar, you will recognize this bottle just in a different color with the kind of rounded triangular shape to it, Lattafa logo on the top. Cap on this is light plastic, but it's thick. It definitely won't crush my powerful hands, and the atomizer on this bad boy is pretty decent. Nice long sprays on this, good fat puffs on this will absolutely get the job done. So overall for $40, presentation on this is kind of what you'd expect. So if you're wondering what Lattafa's Asad Bourbon smells like, you've come to the right place, because I'm about to tell you. Some of the notes listed in this are a pink pepper, lavender, marabella plum, cacao, divana, nutmeg, vetiver, vanilla bourbon, and amber. So let me tell you what I got from this fragrance. In the opening, you get a really nice lavender with that marabella plum coming through. So a nice fruity sweetness that comes through. Has a bit of a delicate sweetness to it, so it's not like an overly sugary style of fruity sweetness. Nice soft style of sweetness, mixing in with this nice lavender, giving it a bit of a freshness, nice aromatic touch to it, and a little dash of that pink pepper coming through. Adding some fresh spicy aspects to it, giving a little bit of sweetness, and you do get a little bit of that divana coming up. And that divana just kind of adds a little additional fruity sweetness to it, a little bit of a green touch coming through, maybe even a touch of a woodiness, but it's really about that marabella plum and that lavender in the opening. So fresh, fruity, sweet style of opening with a little touch of that divana as well as that pink pepper spice. Really nice kind of bright, sweet opening. But as this opens up, you get more of that cacao and that nutmeg that come through. So the cacao adds a bit of a dark chocolatiness to it. A really nice dusty texture starts to form. You do get that nutmeg that comes through, just adding a little bit of spice as well, and you do get some of that vanilla coming up from that base, just adding some additional sweetness, a little bit of a warmth to it, a little bit of a thickness. So this begins to get a little bit darker, a little bit thicker from that initial bright, kind of fruity sweet style of opening as you get towards that midpoint. And as you get towards the dry down, you really get that vanilla bourbon coming through. You get this vetiver that comes through, just a touch of it, adding that woody touch to it. Has kind of a grassy dryness to it that mixes in with that cacao note, giving it that dusty texture, kind of accentuating that dusty texture, and just giving this a bit of a foundation for that vanilla to rest on. Nice ambery texture that starts to come through, and you're still getting some of that spice, a little bit of that fruity top, mostly coming from that divana, but you still get hints of that marabella plum that comes through. But cacao, vanilla bourbon, that amber, touch of that vetiver wood that comes through, and that lavender's kind of subsided at that point. So you're left with a lot, kind of a warmer, sweeter, kind of richer, darker style of fragrance once you get towards the dry down. So it really does transition from that kind of that fresh fruity opening into more kind of a deeper, darker, sweet, gourmandy style of fragrance with a little bit of spice coming through and those woods. Pretty enjoyable fragrance at that point. Now, there's been talks about what this is trying to clone. I do not think this is a clone, a one-to-one clone of anything. Carolina Herrera's Bad Boy Extreme, there's some overlaps with that one. The Scandal Absolute, that's a bit of a stretch for me. I do find the Marabella Plum does kind of, I can see where that would be an overlap there, but it is different than that Scandal Absolute DNA overall besides that plum that's coming through, in my personal opinion. In the air, I do get a lot of the Azzaro Most Wanted. That was the first thing my brain went to when I sprayed this one and when I was smelling it in the air. I was getting some of that similar sweetness and some of that kind of warmth that was coming through as the Azzaro Most Wanted. But again, it's definitely not a one-to-one. It's not even a twist on that fragrance. I think it's just kind of in that genre of those three fragrances. Just kind of has that sweetness, that warmth, that style of DNA. So not a one-to-one clone, kind of more in the same genre as those DNAs. And overall, if you're into that kind of scent profile, I think you'll enjoy this one. So when it comes to the performance of Lattafa's Asad Bourbon, pretty good performance off this one. Granted, this is fresh out the bottle, fresh out the box. I've only had this now for about 5 days, given about 3 wearings at this point. So this could improve with time, but straight out the bottom, about an hour and a half worth of decent projection beyond an arm's length before it does settle back in. Nice sillage, nice scent bubble that forms with this one. About the hour and a half mark is when it does really kind of settle back in. In terms of longevity, I'm clocking around 7-8 hours before it really fades into a skin scent, and it does linger a little bit longer as a skin scent at that point, but you got to get pretty close, about that 7-8 hour mark to really get a whiff of this one. So decent projection, decent longevity off this one, not disappointed whatsoever. Definitely not a beast mode fragrance at this moment. I think maybe over a couple weeks or a couple months as this has a little bit of a chance to kind of marinate, it might improve, but at this point, pretty good performance. So when it comes to the where and when, I think Lattafa's Asad Bourbon would be most appropriate. Definitely think this is a cool weather fragrance. Fall and winter time is where this one's going to shine. That sweetness that comes through, that kind of dusty cacao, that ambriness that's there, that little bit of a woody base to it, and those spices just kind of lend itself to those cooler weather. It just kind of has that warmth, that coziness that goes on to it that just sings of the cold days. In terms of occasions, definitely a casual wear style of fragrance, but I think this would be a great date night fragrance as well. Like I just said, like has that warmth, has that sweetness coming through, has that bit of a sexiness and that allure that would be great for a date night. Formally, I think you could dress this up as well. Has a little bit of that, again, that kind of coziness, that mystique that could lend itself to a more of like a formal event. Wouldn't be my first pick necessarily. I think it does have a little bit of kind of a flirty side going on to it that might not be as serious as you're looking for, but I think it's pretty versatile from casual to formal wear. Office safe, yes, just don't go crazy on the sprays because it is very sweet and it does have that kind of ambery, warm texture to it that it might kind of choke people out if you're a little bit too close and go crazy on the sprays. And it's definitely not a gym style of fragrance. There's definitely others out there that you would prefer. So overall, fall winter style of fragrance and pretty versatile across various occasions. So my overall thoughts on Lattafa's Asad Bourbon. I think this is a good smelling fragrance. I think they did a good job on this one. I think the sweet profile that's in here, the mix of those kind of that fruity bright opening with that freshness that comes and the transition into kind of the deeper, richer, sweeter vanilla bourbon, the cacao that comes through has some nice texture, the ambriness there as well, and that little kiss of Divana is kind of a nice little touch that goes in here. It's a good fragrance, but it's not like a great fragrance. This isn't like blowing my hair back necessarily. You've smelled fragrances very similar to this, and it's just missing that kind of exciting factor to it for me, if you will. Like, I'll definitely wear this fragrance. I think it's a good choice if you're looking for, like I said, kind of that Azaro Most Wanted, the Scandal Absolute, the Carolina Herrera's Bad Boy Extreme. If you're in that genre of fragrance and you really enjoy it, I think you would, appreciate the Lattafa Asad Bourbon here. But I think the price is going to drop on this. This is a brand new release, and I grabbed it like the moment it dropped on Fragrance Buy. So I probably overpaid for this compared to what it's going to be. I don't think this is a rush out and get fragrance necessarily. It's not that mind-blowing, but like I said, overall it's a good fragrance. Just for me, not like an excellent, get me excited style of fragrance, and that's just my thoughts overall. But like I said, performance is pretty good. I think this is a great fall winter style of fragrance, and I think it's pretty versatile across various occasions. So if this sounds like something you like, maybe wait a few weeks, wait for the price to kind of go down a little bit, and make up your own mind from there. That's Lattafa's Asad Bourbon. And I want to hear from you guys. What's the scent of the day? What are you guys wearing today? Comment down below. Love hearing from you guys. Love getting your different recommendations, your hidden gems, different taste and scent profiles. Appreciate you. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Have yourselves a happy new year. We'll see you all next time.